Storytime with Mr. Jackson. She left the broke version of me, then found out I was already rich. Jay still remembered the first day he met Pam like it happened yesterday. It was raining outside a small corner store near the bus station. Pam stood under the broken awning, trying to keep her school books dry while holding a cheap umbrella that looked like it was ready to fall apart. Jay noticed her struggling and walked over without thinking twice. "Here, take mine," he said, handing her his jacket. Pam looked at him confused. "But what about you?" Jay smiled. "I'll be all right." That one moment turned into a conversation, and that conversation turned into something neither of them expected. Back then, neither of them had much. Pam was working part-time while trying to finish college. She was stressed all the time, barely eating, barely sleeping, and constantly worried about bills. Jay, on the other hand, had a stable job at a warehouse company, making decent money for his age. He wasn't flashy, didn't wear designer clothes, didn't drive a luxury car. He lived simple. But what made Pam fall for Jay wasn't money, it was peace. Jay made her feel safe during the hardest time in her life. Whenever Pam was behind on tuition, Jay helped her. When her car broke down, Jay paid to fix it. When she wanted to quit school because life got too hard, Jay stayed up all night, encouraging her not to give up. "You're gonna make it one day," he always told her. "I believe in you." And honestly, he meant it. Over time, they became inseparable. People around them used to say they were the perfect couple. They struggled together, laughed together, cried together, and built each other up from nothing. After 2 years together, Jay proposed with a simple ring he spent months saving for. It wasn't expensive, but Pam cried the second she saw it. "Yes," she whispered. For a while, life felt perfect. 5 years of marriage passed by fast. Pam eventually graduated and landed a good office job. Her confidence started growing. She began making more money, dressing differently, hanging around successful coworkers, and seeing a completely different lifestyle than the one her and Jay started with. But while Pam was changing, Jay stayed the same. Same simple clothes, same routine, same old car, same quiet personality. Pam slowly started feeling like Jay had no ambition. She noticed other men buying luxury cars, starting businesses, posting vacations online, leveling up in life, while Jay seemed comfortable working his regular job and living a basic lifestyle. What Pam didn't understand, Jay was never broke, not even close. Since Jay was 5 years old, his mother had secretly been teaching him about saving money. Every birthday check, every holiday gift, every extra dollar he earned growing up went into an investment account his mother helped manage. And Jay never touched it, not once. Instead of spending money trying to look rich, Jay kept building quietly in the background. While everybody else chased appearances, he focused on long-term security. By the time he was married to Pam, Jay already had more money than most people their age, but he never bragged about it. He wanted love that was real, not love based on money. And for years, he believed Pam truly loved him for him. That's why he had a surprise planned, a huge surprise. Jay had been secretly preparing to buy them a brand new dream house. He'd even been looking at luxury cars for Pam because he wanted to reward her for finishing school and standing beside him during the struggle years. He planned to reveal everything on their anniversary, but before that day ever came, everything fell apart. One night, Pam came home irritated after work. Jay noticed she'd been distant for months, but this time felt different. She barely spoke during dinner. Finally, Jay asked the question that had been eating at him. "Did I do something wrong?" Pam sat quietly for a second before finally looking at him. "I just feel like you're not trying to become better." Jay frowned. "What do you mean?" You're too comfortable, Pam said. You have no ambition anymore. I want more out of life. Those words hit Jay harder than anything else ever had, because in his mind, everything he was doing was for their future. The savings, the investments, the plans, the house, the surprise, all for her. But she never knew. And honestly, Jay realized something painful in that moment. Pam had fallen in love with his potential, but got tired waiting for visible success. A few months later, Pam asked for a divorce. 7 years together, 5 years married, gone. Jay didn't beg, didn't scream, didn't argue. He simply let her go, because deep down, you can't force someone to see your value, especially when they already made up their mind. But what Pam didn't know, walking away from Jay was about to become the biggest mistake of her life. End of part 1. The divorce changed Jay completely. For months after Pam left, he barely talked to anybody. The house felt empty. The silence felt heavy. Every little thing reminded him of her. The coffee mug she used every morning. The spot on the couch where she used to sit. Even hearing her favorite songs in public messed with his head. Jay kept asking himself the same question over and over. How could 7 years mean so little? But pain has a strange way of waking people up. Instead of crashing out, Jay disappeared. No social media, no showing off, no posting motivational quotes. He just focused on himself. Every morning before work, Jay started going to the gym. Slowly, the weight of stress started falling off him. He got sharper mentally too. He began dressing better, carrying himself with more confidence, and finally started living for himself instead of trying to prove his worth to somebody else. But the biggest change, Jay finally decided to use the money he'd spent his whole life saving. About a year after the divorce, Jay bought a beautiful modern house in one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows, huge kitchen, backyard pool, everything he once dreamed of giving Pam. Then came the car. Not one of those loud, flashy cars people rent just to take pictures for Instagram. A real luxury car, clean, elegant, expensive. And the crazy part, Jay paid for everything outright. No debt, no loans, no struggle. The same man people thought had no ambition was actually financially free the entire time. But Jay wasn't trying to impress Pam anymore. That chapter was closed, or at least that's what he thought. One afternoon, Jay got invited to lunch by a woman named Sam. Sam was confident, successful, beautiful, and mature. Unlike Pam, she wasn't impressed by money or appearances. She liked how calm Jay was. She liked how he listened more than he talked. What Jay didn't know at first, Sam was actually Pam's boss. Pam worked under her at a corporate office downtown. The first time Sam invited Jay to the office for lunch, he pulled up in his new car wearing a tailored suit that barely even looked like the same man Pam divorced. And that's when everything changed. Pam was walking down the hallway carrying paperwork when she looked through the glass lobby doors and froze. Her heart almost stopped. Jay? At first, she honestly thought she was imagining things, but no, it was him. Except this version looked completely different. Sharper haircut, luxury watch, confidence, peace. The same man she once called unmotivated now looked like somebody straight out of a business magazine. Pam quickly hid behind a corner trying not to be seen, but then she noticed something else. Jay wasn't alone. He was laughing with Sam, her boss. Pam felt sick to her stomach because suddenly all the pieces started connecting in her head. The expensive car, the confidence, the clothes, the lifestyle. Jay had money the entire time. Meanwhile, Pam's own life was falling apart. After divorcing Jay, she thought life would instantly become better. At first, it seemed exciting. Freedom, new attention, fancy dates, validation from other men. Then reality hit. Bills became overwhelming. Rent, car note, insurance, utilities. Everything Jay quietly handled before suddenly became her responsibility. To make things worse, the new man Pam started dating after the divorce turned out to be exactly like the person she accused Jay of being: lazy, unmotivated, always talking about dreams but never acting on them. Eventually, he left too, the same way she left Jay. Karma. Now Pam was working two jobs just to survive. Stress started catching up to her physically. She gained weight, stopped taking care of herself, and constantly looked exhausted. The confident woman who once thought she had leveled up barely recognized herself anymore. And seeing Jay thriving, that hurt worse than anything, because for the first time, Pam realized she didn't leave a loser. She left a man who loved her quietly, a man building a future behind the scenes, a man who was preparing to hand her everything she wanted without ever needing applause for it. Later that afternoon, Pam overheard coworkers whispering, "Sam's fiancé is rich, rich. Did you see that car outside? They look perfect together." Fiancé. Pam's stomach dropped. Fiancé? She rushed to the bathroom and locked herself inside the stall, trying not to cry, because the reality finally hit her full force. The life she wanted, the house, the security, the peace, the successful husband. She already had it, and she threw it away chasing appearances. Meanwhile, Jay was upstairs smiling beside Sam, completely unaware that the woman who once doubted him was breaking down only a few floors below. End of part 2 of I. After that day at the office, Pam couldn't stop thinking about Jay. Every single night, memories replayed in her head like a movie she couldn't pause. The late nights he stayed awake helping her study for exams, the way he rubbed her feet after long shifts, the times he skipped buying things for himself just to make sure she had what she needed. Back then, she thought Jay lacked ambition. Now she realized something painful. Jay wasn't lazy, he was patient, and patience looks boring to people addicted to fast results. For weeks, Pam secretly watched from a distance every time Jay came to visit Sam at the office, and every visit hurt more than the last. Jay looked happy, not fake happy for social media, real happy. The kind of peace you only get after surviving heartbreak and finally healing from it. Meanwhile, Pam's own life kept getting worse. Her second job drained her physically. Bills stacked higher every month. Her apartment felt lonely. The man she left Jay for was completely gone now, living his best life somewhere else without caring how much damage he caused. And the crazy part? That situation forced Pam to finally understand exactly how Jay must have felt when she walked away. Karma had come full circle. One evening after work, Pam sat alone in her car, crying while staring at old photos on her phone. Pictures of her and Jay when they were younger, back when they used to laugh over cheap takeout food and dream about building a future together. That's when she noticed something she ignored for years. In every single picture, Jay looked at her like she was the most important person in the world, and she threw that love away because she thought grass was greener somewhere else. That realization destroyed her. A few days later, Pam finally built enough courage to text Jay. "Can we talk?" Jay stared at the message for a long time. A year ago, seeing her name pop up would have made his heart race. Now, he just felt calm. He showed the message to Sam. "You gonna answer?" Sam asked softly. Jay sat there quietly before nodding. "Yeah, I think I need closure." The next evening, they met at a small cafe they used to visit during college days, the same little spot where they once planned their future together when they had almost nothing. Pam walked in slowly. Jay immediately noticed how different she looked, not just physically, emotionally. The confident energy she once carried was gone. She looked tired, Regret will do that to a person. Jay stood up respectfully and pulled her chair out for her. Despite everything, he still treated her with kindness. And honestly, that hurt Pam even more. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, Pam looked down at her coffee and whispered, "I messed up." Jay stayed quiet. Tears filled her eyes. "I thought you weren't trying to become something," she said. "I thought you were too comfortable, but I didn't understand what you were building." Jay took a deep breath. "You never asked." Pam looked at him, speechless. Then Jay finally told her everything. The savings account his mother started when he was 5 years old, the investments, the years of discipline, the dream house he planned to surprise her with on their anniversary, even the car he was already preparing to buy for her before the divorce happened. Pam covered her mouth and started crying instantly, because in that moment she realized she destroyed her own future with her own hands. "You were doing all that for me?" she whispered. Jay nodded slowly. "I loved you. Not I still love you. Not I want you back. Just I loved you." Past tense, and Pam caught it immediately. That single word broke her heart more than anything else that night. She reached across the table crying. "I was stupid, Jay. I let outside opinions get in my head. I kept comparing our life to everybody else online. I thought success had to look successful." Jay gave a small, sad smile. "That's the problem now. Everybody wants to look rich, but nobody values peace anymore." Silence filled the table again. Then Pam finally asked the question she feared most. "Do you still love me?" Jay looked at her for a long moment before answering honestly. "I'll always care about you because you were part of my life for 7 years, but the version of me that was in love with you had to die so I could heal." Pam broke down, crying harder, because deep down, she already knew she was too late. You don't always get a second chance with people you break, especially good people. After a while, Jay stood up gently. Before leaving, he reached into his wallet and placed something on the table. It was the picture from their wedding day. Pam stared at it, trembling. "You kept this?" Jay smiled softly. "Not because I wanted the past back, but because at one point it was real." Then he looked at her one final time. "I forgive you, Pam, but forgiveness doesn't always mean recon.